Welcome to r/am I the jerk, where Karen throws away photos of her husband's late wife. I threw away photos of my husband with his late wife years ago. He just found out and he's not happy about it. I, 35 female, met my husband, male 44, 4 years ago, and it was love at first sight. He was a widower and he had a daughter who's now 17. It was tough to deal with, I won't lie, but I wanted to be with him so badly that it didn't matter. We got married 2 years ago and we've had our struggles, I won't deny that, but overall it's been a very happy and love-filled marriage. At the beginning of our relationship, I was very jealous of his late wife. He had pictures of her around his home. His family loved her and they talked about her. His daughter did the same and his friends did too. It was tough. I was comparing myself to her. She was beautiful, intelligent, and successful. She was a great mother, friend, and wife, whatever you can think of. I know that people don't like to speak ill of the dead, but I believe them when they say these things. I did speak to my then boyfriend about these feelings, and he even took down some of the pictures later in our relationship. Still, his house never felt like my home as it still felt like it was hers. When we got engaged, we decided we would buy our own home, and we moved in right before we got married. During the moving process, I found a box full of old photos and other materials. Photos of his ex, family photos, photos of them together, baby photos, everything. Some were Polaroids. They were so old. They had been together for many years and they had so much history together. I don't know why, but at that moment, I snapped. I threw away the ones with her in them. When we were putting up photos in the new house, I didn't put any of her except for one with my stepdaughter. There was a box of her things and I donated some of her items and I threw the rest away. I even went into the computer and deleted photos he had stored on there. At the time, I felt like I had won maybe. I don't even know what I was thinking this would accomplish, but I did it anyway. For the past 2 years, my husband hasn't noticed. My stepdaughter turns 18 soon. She's very intelligent. She graduated early, goes to a top-tier school, and is very well adjusted for someone who lost her mom so young. We've never been that close. I care for her, I do, but she has never opened up to me and has never viewed me as her mom. I understand, but it hurts. Anyway, my husband's mom wanted photos of her as she was putting something together for her. We went to look for them, and as you can imagine, they weren't there. He asked me about them, and I admitted everything to him, as I wasn't going to lie to him. He's very angry at me, and he can barely look at me now. I've asked him to go to marriage counseling, but he refuses. I'm 13 weeks pregnant, and I'm trying to manage the stress. He's devastated, not just for his daughter, but for himself. I know he loved his late wife very much, and if she were still here, he'd probably still be with her. He's been in tears half the time when he's speaking to me, and he won't sleep in the same room as me. I've tried to explain that I felt guilty ever since I did this, but he doesn't care. He asked me what he's supposed to tell his daughter. Some of the materials I donated and threw away were very important. I know that I messed up. I know that I need to make this up to my husband and his daughter, but I don't know how to. This was such a monumental mess up on my part. I've always been jealous of her and did not handle my emotions correctly. I've tried to track down photos of her through other people, and while I did find some from his parents and her friends, her parents passed when she was young, and she was raised by her grandparents who are also now gone, so there aren't many out there. Reddit, I love my husband, and I want to fix this more than anything. I know that I'm hormonal right now, and my mind is wandering to every outcome that could happen. But what if this is the end of my marriage? I can't let that happen, and I need to fix this. I will not try to justify it to him at all. I know it's indefensible. He's never done anything to make me feel like he didn't love me. My mom asked me years ago if I was okay with this, as she didn't think I was. She was right, but I loved my husband so much already that it didn't matter to me. I've struggled with being impulsive before, but it's never been this bad. What you did was so beyond wrong, it was inexcusable. It was evil. Not just to him, but you threw away photos of your stepdaughter's mother because you felt you were somehow in competition with her. This is unfixable. If your marriage ends because of this, it will be because you made a horrible choice. All you can do is pray that your husband forgives you. Get into counseling immediately. What you did was so ugly, you need to figure out what the heck is wrong with you that you would do something like that to somebody you claim to love. OP, I know that she's gone. I've always been jealous of her and it was all in my own head. I was very insecure because I knew that if she were there, we wouldn't be together and it drove me crazy. It wasn't right and I should speak to someone alone about it. 6 years later, my stepmother threw away my late mother's possessions. I'm 23 female. My late mother passed 10 years ago, and over 9 years ago, my dad, who's 49, remarried my stepmother. My stepmother and I were never close. I missed my mom like crazy and would try to talk to my stepmother about her, but she didn't seem interested. Every time my mother was mentioned, she'd stop engaging in conversation and just go on her phone or walk away. When I was 17, my grandmother told me she was creating something special for my 18th birthday. I asked for a hint, and she said it had to do with someone that I missed a lot. That night, I cried about it. I knew she was going to create something related to my mother. A while after that, my dad called me. He said he had bad news while sniffling. He said that my stepmother threw away all of my mom's possessions. Not one thing was left, not even sentimental items. I started crying, and my dad comforted me over the call and then started crying with me. I know you aren't supposed to make major decisions when you're emotional because it can lead to reckless behavior, but I was so mad and sad that I decided to drive to my dad's house. My grandmother opened the door, but I just walked past her. I went straight up to my stepmother. I started yelling at her, calling her something along the lines of jealous, vindictive, and I said a lot of vile words. I told her I never wanted to talk to her again. She tried to apologize, but I just blocked out everything she was saying. I ignored what everyone was saying, and I just left. Since then, my half-brother was born. I have nothing against him, but I barely visit him. My dad didn't immediately forgive my stepmom. He stayed for my half-brother, and after 3 years of couples counseling and therapy, he forgave her, although their relationship was never the same. Some family members have told me I'm being dramatic. They told me to get over it. It's been 5 years. It doesn't matter how many years it will be since she did that. 5 since I knew, and 7 since she did that. But I will never forgive her. No amount of apologies will bring back those things, those memories. I can't fathom how the husband/dad forgave OP. What she did was unthinkably cruel and a show of her true nature. He must know it's pushed his daughter away. Not only threw her stuff out, but went onto the computer and started deleting that stuff too. This is stuff that people get divorced over. What a horrible, vindictive person. Am I the jerk for refusing to inherit the family farm and giving it to my younger brother instead? I, 36 male, grew up on a big farm that was owned by my family, who worked as farmers for generations. Much to the dismay of my parents, I hated farm life from a very young age. I never liked dirt or grime, and farm animals were never really my thing. So, to no one's surprise, I left the farm when I turned 18 and I never looked back. I currently live in a big city. I still love my family very much, and I visit the farm from time to time, but I'm always the happiest when I return to my urban lifestyle. My mother passed 3 years ago, and 2 months ago, I unexpectedly lost my father due to a work accident. This left my younger brother, Tom, who's 30, and me as the sole beneficiaries of their estate. I didn't expect to be left with much, since my folks helped me out financially more than enough times while they were still alive. I honestly only wanted a couple of family trinkets and heirlooms to keep as keepsakes. But due to my surprise, as my brother and I sat down with the attorney to discuss our father's will, we discovered that I was left with the majority of the farm, about 3/4, while Tom was left with the rest. The only reason that I can fathom behind this decision is unlike Tom, I have 2 kids who are 10 and 7, so maybe that's why I was given the bigger share. But I'm not entirely sure since my kids had their own inheritance in the will. Either way, this split of inheritance was ridiculous since, unlike myself, Tom actually lived on the farm and dedicated his entire life to working on it alongside our parents. I saw that Tom was also shaken up by the decision, so I reassured him that I found it absurd as well, and I don't mind forfeiting the land to him. Tom said I don't have to do that, but I insisted. After some back and forth on the topic, we mutually agreed to settle this between ourselves at a later date when everything would be transferred under our names as our parents had intended. I recently informed my wife, Jules, who's 35, of my decision regarding my inheritance, and she's furious with me for wanting to give most of it up. She argues that my decision is impulsive and short-sighted since the farmland is worth a fortune and I'm just giving it away without a second thought. I told her that the land is worth a fortune only for those who actually intend on doing something with it, and since I neither intend to sell it nor farm it, it's effectively useless to me. Jules continued to say that it might be useless to me, but I should think about our kids who might one day want to start farming. I told her in that case, I'll transfer only half of the land to Tom, so our kids could have 1/4 of the land at their disposal in the hypothetical scenario they get into farming one day. Jules is now not speaking to me until I reconsider my decision. I need to hear some unbiased opinions to see if I'm in the wrong here. Not the jerk. I may be way off here, but it sounds like your wife saw a load of money slip from her fingers and she's angry rather than seeing the situation for what it is. You wanted nothing to do with the farm, but your brother has been there his whole life taking care of it. The split at the very least should have been 50-50. I think the scenario your wife gave of your kids growing up and wanting to start farming is a stretch. You live in the city, so they're going to grow up around urban lifestyle, and I don't know your kids, but I don't think they're eager to start living that farm life. If she's that worried, keep 1/4 like you mentioned. Not the jerk. It's your inheritance, not Jules. You should do what you feel is right, and while she's free to have an opinion on the topic, she's a jerk. She's also full of crap about the farming. She just wants the money. Am I the jerk for refusing to participate in a grandma shower at my office? Something about my workplace. Remember the party planning committee in the office? Well, we basically have that. The committee is usually responsible for buying everyone a cake and a card on their birthday, and we'll have themed lunches every now and then. 4th of July barbecue, international potluck for the Olympics, Cinco de Mayo tacos, you get the gist. Now, an important element of this story is the fact that I've always loved baking and I'm pretty good at it. So every time we have a themed lunch, I always bring a baked good that fits the theme. It's gotten to the point where people are always trying to guess what I'll bring and they're super excited to see what it'll be. Generally, I love it and I have fun with it. Until now. A week ago, my coworker announced she's expecting a granddaughter in the fall. An email went around and I sent congratulations. Fine. However, since then, the party planning committee has announced that they will be hosting a grandma shower for my coworker at lunch next week. They've been circulating a sign-up sheet for everyone to bring food as well as the baby registry and encouraging everyone to participate in a diaper drive. Notably, I've never met my coworker's daughter and thus seriously doubt I'd ever meet this baby. So far, there have been about 6 emails about this shower. I've been ignoring them all. Then today, one of my coworkers came into my office and asked why I hadn't signed up to bring dessert yet. Now, here's where I may be the jerk. I basically told her I wasn't planning on baking something and I didn't think I was going to participate in the shower. When asked why, I just said that, to be honest, I don't know my coworker's daughter and I didn't really feel like getting someone I don't know a present for a baby that I'll never meet. My coworker made a face and said she understood, but that grandma coworker might be disappointed. On the one hand, I feel like maybe I am the jerk and I could have just baked some brownies and called it a day. But on the other hand, I find it absolutely ridiculous to host a grandma shower and expect people to bring gifts for a random baby. I feel like I'm right in standing on my principles on this, but at the same time, I know I have some bias here. For context, my husband and I have been trying to have a baby for years, and we're currently undergoing IVF treatments, so I know I'm a little sensitive about babies right now. No one at work knows, so I know they're not trying to be cruel. But at the same time, being confronted with babies left and right is also extremely draining for me. I don't know, Reddit. Am I the jerk for refusing to participate, or should I just suck it up and participate with everyone else? Additional context. As many people have guessed, yes, this is the South, and the party planning committee is all Southern women in their 50s and 60s. I didn't realize how glaringly obvious that was. As far as grandma is concerned, I don't think she pushed for the shower, but she's definitely going along with it. Not sure if that affects anyone's opinion, but I saw several people assume that she's a mother-in-law from heck, and I don't necessarily think that's the case. Also, the mom-to-be apparently had a baby shower last weekend, and another email has been sent out about an hour ago stating that they got so many infant-sized diapers at their shower that they're asking we buy diapers the next size up for the granny shower. I don't know what to even say about that. And yes, we got bad news IVF-wise last week, and I realize I'm emotional and may not be super objective right now. Not the jerk. And a grandma shower is just ridiculous and not a thing. The mother-to-be gets a baby shower. Throwing an additional one and calling it a grandma shower is just tacky. Not to mention, I absolutely guarantee the grandma's daughter doesn't want random gifts from strangers who happen to work with her mom. As a relatively new dad, I can tell you that the diapers at least would be appreciated. Not that this should even be a thing though, it's a terrible idea. You're not the jerk for not wanting to be involved in a forced office-initiated gift grab for someone who's not even having the baby themselves. If folks are friends with their coworkers, then sure, get them something like a card or a trinket. But a grandma shower is too much. It's not easy to stick to your principles on something, especially when someone will take it personally. But it doesn't mean you're wrong. You're not wrong, they're just asking for too much. Am I the jerk for prioritizing my sister's wedding over my girlfriend's birthday after she gave me an ultimatum? My girlfriend, Lisa, and I have been together for 2 years. Her birthday is coming up, and she's been planning a big celebration with friends and family for months. It's a milestone birthday for her, and she's really excited about it because she always felt her birthdays haven't been celebrated properly in the past. Here's where it gets complicated. My sister, Jane, just announced her wedding date, and it's the same weekend as Lisa's birthday. Jane and her fiancé had to move their wedding up due to some family health issues, and now it's a small, intimate ceremony that means a lot to her. Jane asked me to be a part of the wedding party, and as her only sibling, it's important for me to be there. When I broke the news to Lisa, she was devastated. She feels that her birthday should be a priority, especially since I've known about it for so long. She's also hurt because she planned the big event with her closest people, and my absence would be noticeable. I suggested celebrating her birthday a day earlier or later, or even me flying back the next morning, but she wasn't having any of it. Things escalated when Lisa gave me an ultimatum. Either I attend her birthday party or we're done. She feels this is a test of my commitment to our relationship and argues that if I loved her, I would prioritize her special day. I explained that my sister's wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event and I can't miss it, but she insists I'm choosing my family over her. Now I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. My family thinks that it's obvious I should go to my sister's wedding, but some of our mutual friends say Lisa has a point and that birthdays are important milestones in a relationship. I don't want to hurt either of them, but I can't be in 2 places at once. Am I the jerk for prioritizing my sister's wedding over my girlfriend's birthday after she gave me an ultimatum? Update. After this post, I texted and called out her behavior, and now she's crying, saying I don't even care for her. I'm trying to calm her down, but she's really crying a lot. I did a little video call to see her face. I don't know what to do. Update. I think now she's calmed down a bit and is understanding my point of view. I said I'll try to either rush things and be on both sides for a small time, or we'll celebrate a grand one next time or the day whenever she likes. Now she said okay, and then wrote a long emotional paragraph on how much she loves me. After reading that, even I got emotional. I don't know if it was genuine or not. To the people asking, it will be her 21st. Update. I decided to go to my sister Jane's wedding, but things have gotten a bit more complicated since then. When I told Lisa that I would be attending the wedding, she was understandably upset and cried. She love-bombed me, showered me with affection and promises, and finally agreed that we could celebrate her birthday the next day. I thought we had come to a reasonable compromise. During the wedding weekend, Lisa texted and called constantly with various problems. She claimed her car had broken down and she didn't know what to do, then said she had an urgent work issue she needed my help with. At one point, she sent me a series of frantic messages about our dog acting strangely, only to later admit he was perfectly fine. Lisa also pulled some weird stunts to disturb me. She sent a food delivery to my hotel room with a note saying, "Wish you were here," and even called the hotel pretending to be me to leave a message saying my presence was needed at home urgently. It was bizarre and stressful, but I tried to stay focused on supporting my sister. When I got back, I went straight to see Lisa. She kissed and hugged me a lot, acting overly affectionate. However, since then, she's been continuously taunting me about ignoring her for the wedding. She makes passive-aggressive comments like, "I guess family is more important than I am," and "Hope Jane's wedding was worth abandoning me." I'm at a loss for how to feel. On one hand, I understand she felt neglected, but on the other hand, her behavior during the wedding was extremely disruptive. Yet sometimes she loves me in a way that makes me doubt anyone else ever could. Our relationship feels quite complicated, and I'm not sure how to move forward. Yeah, this was Lisa's mask slipping. It sucks to have to miss a milestone event, but things happen, and a sibling's wedding does take precedence. I could understand being upset, but making it into an ultimatum, a test of loyalty, and then going crazy trying to disrupt the day? That's some sheer crazy right there. This is the kind of girl who stalks you for years after you break up. Oh boy, I hope OP wakes up and smells the dysfunction sooner than later. Anyone who plays the false emergency card as punishment or manipulation is not emotionally mature enough to contribute to a relationship as an equal partner. Am I the jerk for not budging on my wedding color scheme? So my fiancé, 34 female, and I, male 27, have been dating for almost 5 years and have been engaged for about 9 months. We recently started discussing wedding planning. To be honest, she's doing a great job, setting the budget, arranging venue viewings, etc. She's handling most of the planning herself, and since it's her big day, I'm letting her choose what she wants. We've now reached the stage where we need to discuss color schemes for my suit accessories and the bridesmaids' dresses. My favorite color is Cadbury purple. It always has been. So I said that's what I want. Oh, okay, so it's like dark purple. At first, she just said okay and we moved on. Then she started suggesting different colors, like lilac, peach, sage green, and baby blue. I reminded her that I already told her I wanted Cadbury purple. She responded by saying that I can't have Cadbury purple because it doesn't go with anything. I told her I'm fine with her picking everything else for the wedding, but the only input I want to add is what I'll be wearing. She started getting upset, saying that I'm making things difficult and asking if we could compromise. I told her that it wouldn't be a compromise if it's not the color I want. I said that if I don't get Cadbury purple, then I don't care what color I have. She should just pick it herself and not pretend that I have a say in the wedding when I clearly don't. So, am I the jerk for wanting to stick to the only input I want to have in our wedding? Edit. I'm not wanting a full purple suit as most people are imagining. Even though I do like the Joker, I don't want to be cosplaying him on my wedding day. The idea I had was very simple. Plain black trousers, a white shirt, a purple tie, and a white blazer. For extra context, the main reason my fiancé isn't keen on the color is because it doesn't go with the aesthetics of our venue. It's a beautiful, modern, rustic barn with fairy lights and a bright atmosphere. She believes that the color I chose will contrast too much with what she envisioned. To the people saying that because we can't pick a color, we shouldn't get married, we're not going to let a color scheme end our relationship. I understand that my taste may not be the best. I've never been one to care about how I look, but I don't really wear anything special other than football tops or joggers, but I do like my idea of what I want to wear. I don't think it's too outlandish, and if you do, then hey, you're entitled to your opinion on that. Also, we haven't set a date yet. All the work done so far is budget, a few venue viewings, and a guest list, and we're starting to pick a color scheme. Just for those who are berating me in the comments, saying that she has done all this work by herself and I'm making it harder for her, the work hasn't even begun yet. I've told her if she wants my input on anything, I'll help, but I don't want to get in the way of having the wedding she wants. If you guys can't compromise on wedding colors, your marriage doesn't look too promising. It's so much harder once you get married. Would you consider purple ties, purple flowers, or decor? I think that deep purple could go with lots of things, or even her bridesmaids' dresses. She probably just wants you to wear a normal black suit or something more normal. Sit her down and ask, do you have to wear all purple or just a piece? Everyone sucks here. You're the jerk. Not because you want to have your purple suit stuff, but because you're not involved with any of the planning. You can't just plan one thing and then leave everything else to your fiancé, because of course your pick is going to clash with everything else. You box yourself into a corner by not being involved in any of the other decisions. Now your previous color scheme doesn't go with anything else. If that's something that's important to you in the wedding, you gotta be involved in the rest of the planning. You're the jerk. You've dumped the burden of planning everything on her, then give her the challenge of trying to incorporate Cadbury purple into a decent color scheme. She's offered several compromises of non-traditional colors, so it's not that she wants to stick you in traditional black, you just can't figure out how to plan a wedding with Willy Wonka, but you're unwilling to work with her at all. You've only contributed to one decision, and it's now dictating the rest of the wedding that you aren't even planning. You're the jerk with terrible taste. Let the bride do her thing. What's wrong with you? I didn't want to say that, but once I Googled the color, my reaction was, yeah, no, dude. That's not a sophisticated jewel-tone purple like amethyst. That's a circus color. I don't think your kid will like my candy, lady, but whatever. So there's only a week left of summer. I decided to take the kids to the local amusement and water park today. As I've gotten older, the rides have gotten a little tougher on me. In addition, my daughter tends to get motion sickness rather easily. I don't like the way that motion sickness pills make me feel, so I always take a Ziploc baggie full of ginger candy along to prevent and soothe nausea. Today I had chewy mango ginger candies, hard plain ginger candies, and hard lemon ginger candies. For those who have never had these before, they're spicy. The lemon ginger is probably the mildest. The plain ginger is just plain hot. The mango ones are sweet and spicy, but they also stick to your teeth like crazy. They're definitely an acquired taste. As we're standing in line for the log ride, I pulled out my baggie. I choose a lemon one, as does my son, who's 13. My daughter, who's 12, asked for a mango one. While I'm fishing a mango one out, I hear the kid in front of us tell his mom that he, around 7, wants some candy. His mom distractedly says she doesn't have any candy. The boy says, "But she does." He turns to me and asks for one. I tell him I don't really think he'd like my candy. By this time, his mom has focused in on the interaction. As the kid starts to whine that, of course, he wants my candy, his mom just huffs and says, "You've got to hold baggie. Can't you just give him one? Come on, don't be greedy. Oh, you said the magic word there, lady. I say, all right, and I dig out a lemon one. I'm not completely heartless. That's when the kid whines that he wants mango. Mango is his favorite. I tell him lemon is better, but he insists on mango. I tell him it's kind of sticky as I hand it over. The kid rips into it and starts chewing on it while my kids are just staring at him. Then he actually starts to taste it and a look of horror comes over his face. He screams and tries to spit it out. He's jumping around and flapping his arms. His mom is panicking and asking what's wrong. He's screaming that it's bad and it's hot and he wants it out. His mom tells him to spit it out. That's when I pipe up with the very helpful, "It's really sticky. What's left is probably stuck in his teeth. He'll have to wait for it to melt off if he doesn't want to chew it." The mom looks at me in disbelief and a shrug. Then she asks what the heck I gave him. Probably should have asked that sooner, lady. I answer, "It's ginger candy. It's good for nausea." I'm pretty sure if looks could kill, I wouldn't be here right now. We got to move up in line 2 spaces though because she whisked her kid off to the water fountain. I'd like to think the kid will think twice about demanding things from strangers from now on. Plus, it was entertaining. Overall, the kids and I counted it as a win. Am I the jerk for telling my fiance that his best friend can't be his best man? I know how it sounds. My fiance, who's 29, is an amazing guy. He's sweet, funny, attractive, and hardworking. I, 29 female, was impressed with him from the moment I met him, and we've been together for 6 years now. We're devoted to each other and working towards building our shared life. We each put a percentage of our earnings into 2 funds, one for our wedding, which is a year away, and another for a down payment on a house. We each pay the same percentage, but I pay a much larger amount because I went into a higher income field. We budgeted it out pretty well. At this rate, we'll have enough to buy a home around the same time as our wedding, as we planned. As to the wedding, we both wanted a small one, and my fiance and I decided to have a destination wedding. We're paying for the entire wedding ourselves. My family's pretty poor, so I've always been saving a portion of my remaining paycheck to be able to pay for all of them to come to the wedding for free. I'm also paying for one of my bridesmaids who went into teaching and doesn't make much. My fiance wouldn't really have the disposable cash to do that, but his family can afford to pay. They're somewhat wealthy, and they're happy to take the vacation. The problem arose last week. My fiance's best friend, Tom, who's 30, who he asked to be his best man, got into an accident. It was likely entirely his fault as he was riding his motorcycle and he'd been drinking. He suffered significant injuries, is going to have some major medical bills, and admitted to my fiance he doesn't think he can afford to come to our wedding. My fiance wants us to pay for him several $1,000s and lend him money to help cover his medical bills. But especially with everything going on, my fiance does not have and is unlikely to be able to get the money to do either. I could afford to do both, but I don't want to. Truthfully, I can't stand his friend. He often rides or drives after he's been drinking. He doesn't have a job. He makes snarky comments about my fiance that he insists are just jokes, but that I know actually affect my fiance, and he lives in his parents' basement while ignoring their well-being. I was willing to have him up there as best man because my fiance considers him a brother and it's his choice. I wasn't happy about it, but I wasn't able to throw a tantrum about it. But with everything going on, my fiance has suggested taking a huge chunk of our savings for a house to help, and I said no. We got in a huge fight, and he called me selfish and cruel, at which point I lost it. I told him his loser friend did this to himself, and that there was no way in heck I'd be paying anything for his friend. I ended by saying, if he can't afford to come, he can't be your best man. He hasn't spoken to me since last night and slept on the couch. While I still think I'm on solid footing, I'm starting to wonder if I went too far. Am I the jerk? Just wanted to clarify, I'm not paying for most of my friends. Most of our friends are young, without kids, and they have good incomes, who travel a lot anyway. We chose a destination wedding in part because 2 of our close friends had one last year that a group of us went to and enjoyed. We told our friends our plans before making arrangements and made clear that we wouldn't be upset if anyone couldn't or didn't want to join us due to the cost. The one friend I'm paying for is one of my oldest friends who I knew wouldn't be able to afford it because she chose to go into teaching. She also came to the wedding last year after several of us pooled funds to pay for her because she chose a meaningful, needed, and underpaid profession. Since I wanted her as a bridesmaid, I just told her straight up that I would pay for her. Same with my family. They mostly don't have much money, so I've been putting aside part of my paycheck, outside of what we put into our shared accounts, to pay for it. If I wasn't spending it on them, that money would be going into my retirement account. I'm able to do that because I chose a more stressful position to ensure I'd be able to build up funds. My fiance intentionally chose a less demanding profession that he really enjoys, but that pays way less than he could make with his degree, because he has a lot of concerns about money. His family are well off, so he never worried about being able to pay for their retirement or medical care. As a result, he has more free time, more enjoyment of his job, but does not have disposable cash right now. So I'm happy to pay for my friend and my family because I chose to sacrifice a lot of career enjoyment to ensure I would be able to have extra money for things like this, and my friend and family have done nothing wrong. His friend doesn't deserve anything from me, and moreover, I'm not interested in enabling his horrible behaviors by bailing him out and paying for a free vacation. I'm not actually paying for my friend or family out of the joint account. Update. It's been a little over 2 months since my original post, and a lot has happened since. In the days after that argument, my fiancé and I had a number of heart-to-hearts. We each apologized for how we behaved. He admitted that his friend had done some terrible things, and after some soul-searching, that he and his friend do not have a healthy relationship. He loves the guy, as his friend had been there for him through some tough times, but he knows Tom needs to change. I thought hard about several of the comments made on the original post and made a tough choice. I told him that I hated the idea of bailing Tom out and would never agree to help him with medical bills, but provided Tom made some effort to change, I would pay for him to come to the wedding with my own separate funds. I love my fiancé more than anything, and I don't want anything to mar our wedding or the start of our marriage. Long story short, we sat down with Tom's parents, who were also fed up with him and had previously refused to help him, to discuss the best way that we could. We all ultimately agreed that we would cover some of his costs, us the wedding and his parents the medical bills, but only if he accepted responsibility for what he had done and hit some concrete milestones towards changing, including successfully completing a program at an inpatient treatment facility for his addictions. All 4 of us sat down with him to make this offer. I won't go into details, but it didn't go well. My fiancé finally lost it and told Tom that he had stuck by him through years of bad choices, and that if Tom wouldn't get help, he didn't even want him as a friend, much less a best man. Tom told us all to buzz off. We hadn't seen or heard from him since then, and it's been incredibly hard on my fiancé. Then, this past weekend, my fiancé received a text from Tom. It wasn't long, but thanked him for everything he had done for Tom, apologized for everything, and let him know that he was on his way to a treatment facility. He hoped that he could stand at my fiancé's side at our wedding like my fiancé had always stood at his. My fiancé's trying to be cautious, but it clearly meant so much to him, and I know he believes against all odds that his friend will become a better man. I have my doubts, but you know what? I hope he does too. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.